Do you remember if Jerry Jarrett was going to run the WWF if Vince McMahon would have went to prison for his steroid trial back, over 20 years ago?
Yes, I do remember that, and yeah, that was actually the plan. That's why Jerry Jarrett was brought, from Memphis or from Nashville to the WWE, just in case that happened as a fail-safe plan. Jerry was going to be the guy that would be the the main guy to run things, and that simply because I think Vince looked around and saw that, Jerry was like, Jerry was like the last man standing. He was the only guy that was running a business that had survived, that had survived the onslaught of cable TV and the onslaught of the WWE. We still had our Memphis Wrestling Company that had been run for over 20 years. And I think Vince thought, hey, if this guy is able to run that business and keep it afloat against all odds, that he would be a good guy that we could trust to run the WWE. And while Vince was away, if that happened, and there was a distinct possibility of that happening at that time. But Vince was so great. I mean, I think he always had the supreme confidence that that he was going to beat. I mean, this was one of those cases where it was Vince single-handedly taking on the government, and you know how Vince McMahon is. He's like a Donald Trump guy. He believes that he can take on anybody or anything, and he did. He took on the government and he won. But there was that distinct possibility that he might not win, and a lot of people thought he wouldn't win. And if that was the case, Vince might have had to go away for a while, and that's why Jerry Jarrett was brought in. But one of the funny things I'll never forget, during that trial, Vince and I were doing the commentary at the time, and we did a Halloween show, and so Vince came on the air dressed as a convict in a complete black and white striped outfit. He's dressed as a convict, and of course I was dressed as a gynecologist, and so it was a crazy thing. But that's how confident Vince was on that thing. But just in case it had not have gone right, that's what the plan was for Jerry to do.
But really, I mean, even if Vince went to prison, that's his baby. I'm sure Vince would have still been the final say, even if he was still in prison. Anything going on in WWF at the time, I'm sure still would have had to be run past Vince, right?
Well, I would imagine so. Yeah. Yeah, probably so. But this was at a time. This was so many years ago that Stephanie and Shane were still kids.
Yeah.
They were certainly in no position to take over and run anything, and I don't even know if Triple H was even in the business yet then. So he was looking for somebody that had a track record of keeping a wrestling company going, and that's all he was interested in. If he did go away, for somebody to come in, step in, and fill his shoes and keep the company going until he got back in charge.
Well, there you go. It's just been a long debate.
At least that's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a long debate, and a lot of people say that wasn't the case. A lot of people say that was the case. So it's been a debate, and I think people should trust your answer because you worked with Jerry Jarrett for so many years. I think you were in the WWF at the time, and you were good friends with Jerry Jarrett. So there's really no reason for you to make anything up like that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I was never in a meeting with like Vince and Jerry, and that was where that was spelled out. That was just basically kind of what I heard on our end down here.